Uh, The municipality of Whitestone recognizes all of Canada resides on traditional, unceded, and/or treaty lands of the Indigenous people of Turtle Island. We recognize our municipality on the Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory is home to many past, present, and future Indigenous families. This acknowledgement of the land is a declaration of our commitment and collective responsibility to reconcile the past and to honor and value the culture, history, and relationships we have with one another. So welcome to everyone to this special meeting to review our draft official plan. The meeting is planned to go, by the way, from 10 o'clock to 1 p.m. this afternoon, and we're going to try very hard not to run over. I'll start just by introducing the members of council, and it is a Zoom only meeting, so everybody's online here. We have Councillor Janice Bray, Councillor Joe Lamb. We have Councillor Scott Nash and Councillor Brian Woods and myself, Mayor George Comrie. And councillors, you can turn your video on if you like. We also have members of our staff on the call. We have our CAO clerk, Nigel Black, our deputy clerk, Wendy Schroeder. We have our fire chief, Bob Whitman, I see is on the call, and our planning assistant, Paula Macri. And I think that is it for staff, but we also have with us today Jamie Robinson from MHBC, who is the planner in charge of this official plan project. And Jamie will be, when we get going in a minute, will be leading us through things, this review. And I also acknowledge that we do have some members of the public on the call, several of them, and so I want to extend a welcome to you folks as well. First item is to ask if there is any pecuniary interest to declare in today's proceedings by any member of council. So, hearing nothing, we'll let the record show that that none was declared. The next thing we need to do is to approve our agenda for today, which is really, as you can see, a very simple one. We're just we've got one topic essentially, and that's our official plan to discuss. So, which we will do in committee of the whole. But anyway, can I get a mover and seconder, please, to approve the agenda?
I'll move it.
Thank you.
I'll second, Mr. Mayor. I can second for you, Mr. Mayor.
And that's Councillor Woods, right?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Any discussion on the agenda? All right, I will then ask members of council just to we'll just have a vote by not by roll call or anything. Just please state your name if you're in favor of the agenda.
Councillor Lamb, yes.
Councillor Woods, yes.
Councillor Bray, yes.
Councillor Nash, no.
Mayor Comrie, yes. Okay, thank you. The motion is carried. We have an agenda. The next item is to move into committee of the whole. And again, that's simply to allow us to have discussion without a motion, specific motion on the floor. So I give a mover and seconder to move into committee of the whole, please.
I can move for you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Woods.
I'll,
seconded by
I'll second.
Councillor Lamb. Thank you. And all those in favor of this motion?
Counselor Lamb, yes.
Counselor Nash, yes.
Counselor Bray, yes.
Counselor Woods, yes.
Mayor Comrie, yes. Well, that motion is carried, and we are in committee of the whole at 10:14 a.m.
And through you,
So,
Mr.
so
Mayor.
the next, so we're now ready for a discussion. Sorry, were you trying to say something, Councillor Nash?
Yeah, I'll let you finish first. Sorry about that,
No,
Mr.
no,
Mayor.
I don't. I was just going to introduce Jamie and kick this off. So,
If you could indulge me then, Mr. Mayor, I was just simply gonna ask if I could have a minute or two just for a brief introduction to today's meeting, as I think there's a couple important items that I wanted to bring up. First of all, the reason that I said no to the agenda for today is I personally don't feel that we've been presented with a complete report that we need to finish this off today. What I mean by that is, at the last meeting, it was asked for an updated, I didn't ask, but other counselors, an updated mapping that would help show species at risk, those types of things. And we don't have that today. There was also a few large items that were discussed at the last meeting, such as the Species Conservation Act, which replaced the Endangered Species Act, and to make sure that that's been incorporated into here. Yet, when I go through it, I still see mentions of the Species at Risk Act. So unfortunately to me, I think, today's meeting for anybody in the public and for myself, I think is going to be a slosh. When we go through this and we start at the beginning today, there's many things I might have asked for a change but been outvoted on, or I might have asked for a change and there was the majority, and it could be for any counselor, or you, Mr. Mayor. And a number of those items haven't been addressed or are still missing in this report. I also find the fact that we don't have an executive summary from our planning firm outlining the changes that have been made since this was supposed to be the final review, leading into it going to the province. I'm disappointed in missing out on having a section on specific section for lake trout lakes that was spoken about and agreed to by all counselors, for not talking about how major government policies, the Species Conservation Act has been enacted since we've been going through this, and not having any of the maps were supposed to be updated for today's meeting, to me, makes it really hard to go through this. But how am myself as a council member at the end of today supposed to vote in favor of submitting something to the province when we don't have our appendixes, we don't have updated mapping, and history shows that we can't just rely on it to be correct. We have to actually go through it. So unless something really changes today, I don't think I'll be in a position to be able to vote in favor of sending anything on to the ministry at this time, given what's been presented to us today. And I was really hoping we could get this behind us at the same time. And I brought it up to staff. I personally feel this is a really bad time for us to be working on an official plan when there is an election season a couple months away. A number of people have put their names in for the election, and we're sitting here trying to make big policy changes. This should have been done a year ago, should have been completed a year ago, or it should have been finished by the next term of council in my eyes. So I think this has put us in a really awkward predicament. I just wanted the public to know about that and how I feel about this. Unfortunately, to me, we are having the meeting today, but like I said, I do have a hard stop at 1 o'clock, and the reason the meeting was able to take place today was I'd said to the CAO that I can make this morning work, but I can't go past 1 o'clock. So I was kind of told that would be the case. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, for letting me speak, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, well, thanks for your comments. I think what we are where we are, and I'm hoping that we can cover off most of the major items that people feel are still outstanding. But when we get to the end of the meeting, of course, we will have to make a decision as to whether to move this on to the next stage. And I think we can. It's my intention to, when we get there, to ask our planner to comment on the process going forward. So anyway, if we could move ahead with the review of the plan as it is, and I'd like to turn it over to Jamie to kind of lead us through. And Jamie, I don't know if what you want to do. I did what I suspect maybe some other councilors did. I took the so-called clean version of the document and went through it from the beginning. And there are lots of what will I say, cosmetic changes that could be made, sentences that don't have any verbs in them and things like that. But there are what I think is a relatively manageable number of big ticket items, things that were left over. And some of them, a number of them anyway, have notes from our planner that they were for discussion at this meeting based on comments or maybe incomplete discussion in previous meetings. And what I'm going to suggest we do when we get to those is we'll have straw votes and just see what kind of support there is for either the change that our planner is suggesting, or a change or something different. So let's see how much progress we can make, please. So Jamie, what I'll let you introduce it how you want to. Do you want to go through the ones that you have comments on first, or do you want us to go through it from the beginning? What's your
What I had sort of figured we would do is I would have on my screen and share it with the group, the track changes version and the clean version. And then I think there's a couple of key areas, like big picture items, that we should be focusing on. I'm not sure the wordsmithing piece is where you want to focus your efforts today. But I think it's more of the big picture items, such as lot creation, those sorts of areas. So what I'd like to do is, and then I do have a few comments throughout the document. So what I'd like to do is sort of start in a sequential order, and work through the document in that manner on those big ticket items. And certainly if members of council have, as they have in the past, identified specific sections that they want to look at as we work our way through, then by all means we can stop at those sections and take a look. But that was sort of my thoughts here. Is we'll start, I think the growth management is the first sort of big ticket item, just to review that piece. And then we go into the consent pieces and the law creation policies and sort of work our way down from there. So
okay? So and do you need to? Can you just use the clean version to have on the screen, or do you do we need the one that has all the track changes in it on the screen too, or?
I can do whatever.
I was hoping to avoid. Just trying to see
I
if you
can, whatever you want to do. We can use the clean version. I've got them both on my screen right now.
All right. Well, we can always go and look at the track changes if there's some disagreement about how we got there, but I'm hoping that we would focus our efforts on what we want to see there, not how we not discuss how we got there.
So
Well,
can you see my screen then now?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I was just going to say, I understand focusing on some key parts, but the problem I have is if we only focus on the key parts, we're gonna skip over all the other issues that haven't been addressed that should have been addressed in my eyes and have been supposedly changed but haven't been changed. So I think we almost need to start at the very first section. It should be relatively quick. I think your idea, Mr. Mayor, of having a straw poll is a great idea. I think for items that any member of council believes should have been changed already based on what previous votes, straw polls have said, I think we need to go through it in a systematical order from the beginning, carrying through. Because there's a lot of them. And those changes will end up changing a lot of the stuff in the bigger sections. So I think we almost need to start at the beginning and roll through it and see how far we get. I was hoping we wouldn't need to do that, but I think when we go through it, yes, there's some grammatical stuff, as you'd said, Mr. Mayor, but there is a lot of other important items that I believe, again, through straw polls should have been updated and has been missed. Now in the planner's defense, we have had numerous meetings on it, and some of them I'm sure have been hard to follow. So I think, to give consideration to the planner, if we start and just go through, if somebody has some quick updates, we'll get to these important parts. And when we get to the important parts, at that time, the planner can spend more time on those. If not, it's going to be going in and we're going to miss the part of changing all minor things, which are actually not minor when you're dealing with an official plan. Every misword or there's one section in here as an example. I forget what section it is, but basically it says that a lot creation or something will only be approved and it can be shown if you're damaging the environment instead of not damaging the environment. So one simple word typo can mean a very large impact in these documents. So that's what I'd ask for.
Yeah.
My first comment is on page 4 of the whole thing, and I've spent hours going through it and looking at 4 sets of notes and seeing handwritten notes on where there were straw polls and weren't, and wondering why a whole bunch of items in here that were based on straw polls haven't been updated or have been reverted for some reason. So anyways, that's what I'd ask for. I'd love to know the rest of council's
Yeah.
decision.
Okay. All right. My proposal, as I said before, was to hit major things, not editorial things. There are clearly editorial things. Starting on page 1, reference to the Parry Sound Area Planning Board and things like that. Those are we don't and not having the right name for the Species at Risk Act or whatever. We can fix all those things without. I don't believe we need to discuss that. I think what we need to discuss are whether we have the major policies down right. So
yeah,
I don't know. Councillors, do you want to weigh in? Because I would rather go through those big items and see where we are at the end. Because if we have
Mr. Mayor, just in what you're saying there, just if you can humor me here for a second, you're saying on page 1, or it might say Parry Sound and Area Planning Board, and these are minor things. And I'm going to say, here we are writing a legal document that people will use to do property development or use it in an appeals court. And we're saying, well, simple things like Parry Sound and Area Planning Board aren't important. The Parry Sound and Area Planning Board doesn't exist anymore. It's not even called the Parry Sound and Area Planning Board. How many times have we told our planners to fix these things? And it should be the local planning authority. And yes, these are important things. It's supposed to go to the province and get passed. So we're saying, oh, let's forget all these things and we'll send in a half finished document because we want to get through it. No, if we're going to do this, we should go through it and fix all the small things. But we shouldn't be here on meeting number 5 fixing small things, Mr. Mayor. They should have been fixed in
Well,
meetings 1, 2, 3 or
I,
4.
okay, fine, but we can fix those after today, between today and if everything else is settled, those can be fixed easily. I don't think we need to spend time on them as a whole council. We can have a review of the document for accuracy and grammar and spelling and all those kinds of things after it, before it actually gets transmitted.
Through you,
I,
Mayor.
I just, if we only have from now till 1 o'clock, we don't have time to go through it item by item. We'll get half the way through, in my opinion. So, other counselors, I'll do what you want, but do you wish,
Well, through you, Mr. Mayor, I found Councillor Lamb here. I found it quite frustrating trying to go through. Like I got my last copy of the document, and then I got this copy. And the very first thing I hit was 204, I think 204 on page whatever. And what I had suggested, and again, it made no sense. And again, we call it wordsmithing or whatever about our population and that kind of
Yeah.
thing. And I thought, well, there's what I suggested. And I looked and no changes, right? And then I found several of these in here where I thought we had said change it, and it hasn't been changed, right? And I don't know why. And I find it very frustrating. Of course, I got small print, and I'm looking at 2 documents and 170 pages. And Councillor Nash is right. There's a great big difference between saying you will or you may, right? And for counselors to go through, and I don't mind going through it and saying, well, that shouldn't be a may, it should be a will, or vice versa, right? It's frustrating after 5 meetings, and this is, it's just very frustrating, right? I don't know that we can complete today, but this is not a race. Okay, this is not a race that, oh, we have to get this to the province. If we don't get this to the province today, or a new council in November, December get it to the province, is not the end of the world, right? But I think we have to kind of get it right? And there are some big ticket things in here. But anyway, I found it a little uh, a little frustrating. So whether we hit the big ticket items or what, I'm no, never mind. But I do find it very difficult that there's no executive summary. There's nothing from our CAO. It's just here's the document. You guys go through every single word and look at it and then discuss it. So my question after all this is, Jamie, is this normal? Like, is this normal? Go through 5 meetings and be in the position that we're in, going through the kind of detail. You work with other municipalities. Is this what we're doing? Is this normal?
Through your worship, none of the process that this municipality has taken with respect to this OP is normal. Council usually does not go through an OP line by line, word for word, which is what your council has done and has wanted to do. That's not what the work plan proposed, but that's what this will of council has been. So that's what we've been doing. So no, it's not normal.
But Jamie, what was happening and why we went through all this was there were regulatory things that were put into that we needed to do in the official plan. And then everything else was jammed in either by you or someone, right? And then it's up to councillors to then, vote it out, if you will, by straw poll, right? As opposed to taking a clean document, having all the emails on the side, from various groups and people, and then inserting those things, right? Council's put on the defensive, in my opinion, and the mayor said it, go through and, oh man, there's all these things that are wrong and whatever. We're put in and you can understand what I'm saying. We're put in the position of there was a lot of stuff in here. We said we don't want that in there, right? And anyway, I just find the whole process a little frustrating. And I also find it frustrating that we can't find a day that we could go beyond 3 hours. And I'm not trying to get at Councillor Nash. He juggled his schedule so he could even have 3 hours today, right? But I mean, we should have more than 3 hours if we're going to go through this document and clean it up. So I don't think we're going to get there today. I hope we can, and I'll leave it at that. And I guess I'll, go whatever way you want to go on,
Well,
right?
are you arguing for going line by line and like going section by section through it though? Is that what you're arguing?
Well, I think we have to, right? So that we hit everything, right? And I'm not talking, I'm not going to go into 204 and because it makes 204 makes no sense, right? And it's verbiage or whatever. I might bring that up, but I mean, yeah, I want to go through it. I've got a couple of big ticket items that I can deal with right off the bat that I think all of us can, and do a quick straw poll and get it over with. Uh, but anyway, I've said enough. Let others say something now, I guess.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
Councilor Woods, if I could.
Councilor Woods.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, through you. I can't really disagree much with what Councilor Nash or Councilor Lamb had to say there. For me, this entire process I found ultra frustrating. And I'm sure our planners found it frustrating and staff has found it frustrating. Some of I don't know, some of the things that I have a problem with, Councillor Lamb just touched on it. In the very beginning, the very first document we got, like we told we're gonna review our standing official plan in the municipality. And we didn't get that document. We got a document loaded with, I'm gonna call everybody's wants and desires jammed into the document, when what we were told in the beginning, we were going to get our original official plan and only, and I repeat, only the exact changes from provincial legislation that we couldn't change anything about. And that's not where we started. Instead, we got a document with a whole bunch of extra stuff in it, the wants and desires list, and then members of council have to go through it. Staff has to put up with us, which is, I know it's been insanely hard for members of staff putting up with all of us. I'll go on record saying that one. But we get this list with all of these extras in here, and then we get put in a position where we're arguing to get them out. And that, to me, never should have happened. All the lists of the wants and desires, be it from, just the average ratepayer or associations or whomever it was, should have been one document, and we should have reviewed the original document. And I think we would have been much further ahead in the process had we done it that way. I think we've been fighting against each other. Personalities have been getting in the way. Personal wants and desires, which aren't supposed to come to the table. We're supposed to be doing for the municipality. Okay? None of that's happened the way I think it should be happening. And then we have our planner, Jamie, and I can give you the nod on this one, saying, none of this is normal to what he's experienced. None of it's been normal as far as I'm concerned to what I've experienced. So I think that we have to go through the document, unfortunately, and I really don't think we're going to get through it, because we've proven as a council we can't get through a document like this in 3 hours because we're too interested in arguing with one another or campaigning.
Okay, do you have anything, any comments, Councillor Bray?
Well, I've just been listening to everybody, and I would say that if we are going to just do the big ticket items that need to be done today, we still will need to come back and have a look at it afterwards. And I'm not sure when we're going to do that. I'll go with whatever everybody wants to do. I find that it's very frustrating. I agree with Councillor Woods. We should have left all of the wants and desires of everybody, including council, and looked at them separately, and then been able to fit things in instead of just trying to redo this all the time. Because every time I read it, there's other things I see, or there's things that I thought we had changed, but maybe we didn't. So I'm torn as well. I didn't have much time. We only got my printed copy on what was it, Thursday, Friday, and it's not much time to be able to go through a big document like this if that's what we were supposed to do. So I guess we should be thinking, like, if it's the big ticket items we want to hit today, and then we're still going to have to come back and look at it because there are things that have to be changed, and whether that's something that staff can do before we look at it again, we could do that too. I'd be happy with that as well. Thank you.
Well, I guess what I'm hearing is that people want to go through it. Again, my hope was to just try to get the big tickets items out in this discussion and save the wordsmithing until later, because we could always, people can just submit lists of what things that they think are, minor corrections that are not going to be controversial. But I'm hearing three people want to go through it line by line, so I guess we'll go till we get to 1 o'clock. Please, just no, please try to be as brief as possible in noting these minor changes, right? That are.
And through you, Mr.
So
Mayor,
you want to start on page 1? What do you? We got 75 pages of the clean copy, if that's what you're looking at.
I was just going to say through you, Mr. Mayor, on page 1, the only item I had, you'd pointed out. Jamie, if you look, it's about the third or fourth bullet point down. It says the Parry Sound and Area Planning Board includes, and it says Whitestone, McDougall, Carling, and McKellar. That should read McKellar and Whitestone Planning Board includes Whitestone and McKellar. That's it. And that should be a really quick fix. So if somebody can find that, that's on page 1. Again, I'll wait till it comes up on the screen there, but page 1 of you got it there.
So sorry, it's called right now the Whitestone and McKellar Planning Board.
The McKellar and Whitestone Planning Board.
Not to check the spelling. It's not Councillor Nash. It's McKellar, either slash or McKellar Whitestone Planning Board. There's no and in there. But Paula, are you on the? Is Paula on?
I'll look at it.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, it should be McKellar / Whitestone Planning Board, formerly Parry Sound Area Planning Board.
It's a front slash.
Jamie, I'll just email it to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so can we move on to the next one? What is the next?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, my next item was 411. Does anybody have anything before item 4.11?
Well, Mr. Mayor?
Yeah,
Just-
yes.
Just that we'll make sure that all of the Parry Sound area, because there's other areas, so we don't have to keep covering it, that they'll all be changed. There's one above the one that Councillor Nash just talked about. It's in the very first paragraph. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, it's the whole thing has to be looked at and corrected. But so I didn't notice something at 4.04 that I was just going to mention in passing. And there's a little table there with population data and so on. And you actually got an email from a ratepayer on this particular subject. But I guess, and I realize this is probably based on old census data, maybe, but I think there are better numbers for those, and this is an offline thing. Maybe we should look around and see. I'm not convinced that it's a totally up to date, representation of our community, of the demographic of our community. But I don't have a suggestion as to what to change. So I think we should just park that as a note for. At some point in time, we may be able to get some more accurate data.
So through you,
That's-
Mr. Mayor, that was the first thing I said 204, I meant 404. Because the verbiage in there makes no sense that we have it says has a small year-round population, a large proportion of which are seasonal. That makes no sense. It should be, it has a small year-round population and a large number of seasonal residents that have recreational properties. That's that's how it should read. That's what I brought up last time and wasn't reflected in the change. So thank you for bringing up 404.
And what was that, Counselor Lamb? Can you just say your update again?
Well, instead of say, in many ways, the municipality of Whitestone reflects the character of much of the district of Parry Sound. Right now it says it has a small year-round population, a large proportion of which are seasonal residents that have recreational properties. That makes no sense. A large proportion of small year-round population. It's got to be changed. It should read, it has a small year-round population and a large number of seasonal residents that have recreational properties, right?
Yeah, I'm in favor of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, yeah, that's the frustration because that's the first thing I hit and it wasn't changed. So, anyway, thank you.
Mr.
Let's
Mayor,
move on.
in that 404, I think the problem with the wording is it says a large proportion, and it should say a large portion of which are seasonal residents,
Could be also, but it needs to be
right?
changed.
So I've
And
updated it on the screen there now, which I think reflects Councillor Lamb's comments.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, that looks good.
Let's move on.
All right, so my next item was 4.11. It doesn't sound like anybody had anything before that, Mr. Mayor. And this is something that had been brought up, and I thought we'd addressed it. And if I'm correct, if I'm incorrect, please, council, correct me. But the last sentence said there are numerous submissions that have been reviewed and incorporated. Or I guess that's the second last sentence. But we'd removed or had discussion about and incorporated because we weren't sure what had been incorporated and not from comments. So Jamie, I think it should just read, there are numerous submissions that have been reviewed. And you just stop it there. That's the end of the sentence. That we might have, and I'm just going on to say we've received something from a ratepayer or an email from somebody or whatever it might be, and we have reviewed it. We've taken it into consideration. We don't need to say anything more than that. If that makes sense to everybody. So I just stop that second last sentence right after the word reviewed.
I don't have a problem with that. That to me is fine.
Yep, that's fine with me.
All right.
I had one other thing about 4.11, and that was the Indigenous communities have been included, have they?
Not
So
yet.
not yet. Once we've got this draft prepared and completed, then it gets circulated to the First Nation.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we okay with that? Let's move on.
And through you, Mr. Mayor, my next comment was in section 8. So I'll see if anybody else has anything in sections before section 8.
Just a second. Yeah, I have one that I brought up before, and I guess it didn't. And this is in section 4.19.
We get
Says
to,
all of the municipalities' development and future development will be serviced by individual on-site water services and individual on-site sewage services. And I think that is a mistake for us to say because if we're going to do anything in the area of attainable housing, that would have to go. And by the way, if you read through the fine details further on in the in the thing, you will see that there are provisions, there are things that suggest how you do it if you're not going to do that. But I see that as a conflict with other sections in the plan, and I think it should just be removed. Frankly, I don't. Clearly, the majority of them of development, especially development of single family type dwellings, a single dwelling on a lot, that's going to be the case, no question about that. But what we're saying essentially is that we're not going to build any apartment buildings. We're not going to have any residential accommodation over storefronts. We're not going to have any small self-contained communities, and those are the ways that we're going to get uh, attainable housing in Whitestone. You can't get attainable housing if everybody has their own septic system and their own water supply. You're back to essentially one one dwelling on what ends up being a fairly sizable lot. So
Through
that's my
through
concern.
you,
I
Mr.
think it
Mayor.
should be out of there.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, maybe it's a question to Jamie. I know further on we talk about um, systems that are commercial. If they're over, I think it's 5 units, you have to get a commercial approval for it. I believe what this was trying to say was we as a municipality will not be providing a
Yeah.
public drinking water system or a public sewage system. Maybe we can change it to something like that. I think that's where you're going to. Like, I don't see there being an issue, Mr. Mayor, if somebody does a commercial um, application and say there's 6 houses or whatever, and they're on a private um, septic system that's used for the 6 people. And I think that's what you're saying, the same thing.
Yeah.
But if I recall correct, I think Jamie, our planner, had really tried to push us to say we have to be really careful in some of the wording that we have further in this system or in this document about private sewage systems and really coming back to the municipality. And I think if I'm not putting words in your mouth, Jamie, it was having to do an OP amendment, something to do with if you have a system that's owned by a corporation and they go out of business, the way we have it worded, we'd have to take over that system. But I think unfortunately, council didn't listen to our planner in that case. Is what I'm saying make any sense, Jamie? Do you vaguely remember something like that?
Yeah, so the discussions about what we're getting at here is the question of individual on-site servicing versus communal servicing. And we had a discussion around that. And I was cautioning you against allowing communal servicing in your OP without going through an official plan amendment. And I provided reference to the District of Muskoka, which doesn't allow for communal servicing unless you go through an official plan amendment because of the inherent risks to the municipality if a communal system fails. So what we had done last time in the servicing section, which is on the screen in the track change version here, is we similarly it echoed this policy that you're looking at right now, which effectively says that servicing in the municipality is going to occur by individual on-site services. So, like, that's where we got to at the end of the last discussion. So if you
Yeah.
want to go back on that, like, it's
So-
not saying someone can't do it necessarily, but they're going to have to amend the official plan to undertake that exercise. And that means there's also going to have to be checks and balances in place to make sure the system will function effectively. But
So am I right in saying, Jamie, and thank you for letting me speak here, Mr. Mayor, that basically the way we have it now puts in some of those checks and balances that if somebody wants to do this, what they'd have to do is apply for a official plan amendment, which yes, costs some money, but then if they came and said, hey, we want to do something with a 20 unit item or something, we'd be able to put more checks and balances in it because we'd be reviewing it as part of an official plan amendment, right? We're not saying you can't do it. We're saying you can't do it under this current official plan. You'd have to update something, right? Is that kind of where it's going?
yeah, the plan's saying you can't do it. However, the Planning Act allows applications to be made to allow for things. So an official plan amendment would, but the plan is saying you can't do it. And the reason we've written it like that is that there's a huge, these sorts of systems present a huge financial risk to the municipality. And that's why the policies do not promote them.
Well, my argument is that we're just having an official plan amendment. Look at what it takes to get an official plan amendment through. Even the this the process. The last time we did one was the one related to backlots, if you recall.
Yeah, I think you guys should do a
we're just
straw
putting in
poll.
place. Sorry, Jamie. We are just putting in place a roadblock for ourselves when we have something that we want to accomplish in the future as a municipality, and it can be done. It's being done successfully in other places. Maybe not the District of Muskoka. I mean, I don't believe that the affordable housing or attainable housing is a goal for the District of Muskoka, right? But it's it's if we're going to do it, we're just leaving this in. If you said most of the municipalities' development and future development will be serviced, then I'd be fine with that. But the idea that you have to do an official plan amendment just almost guarantees that it's not going to happen, and we're missing an opportunity here to do something meaningful with. So I'm sorry. I'm categorically opposed to this statement that that's the way that you can't do it unless you have an official plan amendment. It's just
And
we don't need the official plan amendment to put in place the checks and balances that you're talking about. These things have to be engineered. They have to be there's all kinds of other requirements to it. I'm not saying it's simple, but putting a year and a half or 2 year process to get an official plan amendment through in the beginning of it is virtually ensuring that in the next term of council it would not get done.
And through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm in favor of leaving it the way it is. We can start our straw poll. So I guess you're for it. You're for removing it. I'm for leaving it in. The reason I'm for leaving it in is if bigger municipalities, official plan amendments are very, very common if you're doing plans of subdivision, if you're doing a building that might be taller than normal. So I look at this and say, this is really here because if somebody's going to come in and say, I want to put 100 units of affordable housing in, or I want to build 35 townhouses on a lake. This balance is here to stop that from happening unless we can ensure that all those reports or engineering, like you said, are there. And yes, then that should be a really big process. And by doing this, it's stopping it from getting in a way that before we know it, there's a 100 home subdivision somewhere and it's on a private well and a private sewage system, then there's problems down the road. So I'm going to take our planner's advice on this one and leave that in there as a way of a check and balance. So my vote is to leave it the way we have it. Thank you.
Okay, other councilors?
Jamie, your advice is to leave it in. Is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you. I vote to leave it in.
How long does an official plan amendment take?
Um,
3 meetings?
through your worship, it's basically you would need to do a zoning bylaw amendment anyway, like most likely anyways, so it gets sort of it occurs concurrently with that other application. So it might add an additional, it's a ministry approval, which is the difference. So it might add another, I don't know, 4 months or so towards the end of like onto the process beyond what a zoning amendment might otherwise require.
Because if it was a big, as Councillor Nash had pointed out, maybe a big subdivision, 100, they'd have to have individual wells and septics anyways for the houses. I think this is more looking at things that are, say, like Seguin had, and I worked on these 2 projects. There were three 5-unit buildings that were like attached buildings, like townhouses that they were on one well and one septic. And the owner was responsible for them. I also ran apartment buildings where I was responsible for the well and the septic, and it was my responsibility to keep it going, not the municipalities. So I'm just curious as to how this could end up being something that the municipality, it could be so detrimental to the municipality that we might have to take it over or something like that, because we wouldn't be owning it.
So, through your worship, if it's a rental situation like you're talking about, which is you
Yep.
one lot with multiple units on it, even if it's a townhouse type setup, still an individual on-site system because there's one lot at play.
Okay.
Communal systems occur when you have multiple separately conveyable parcels on one system. That's the difference.
Okay. So we still
Councillor
do
Gray.
somebody. No, can I just finish, please?
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
So we could somebody could still do like the 5 units on one lot if the lot was big enough and that would be okay. We wouldn't have to have an official plan amendment. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. There's other approvals that they would need, like ministry approvals and that, but
Yeah. But not, we wouldn't have to be going back in. So if that's the case, because I can't see us ever being in a situation where it would be that big of a communal thing. At this point, I hope not. Because I think that would be a little bit dicey for our municipality. So I'll vote to leave it in. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for the clarification.
Mr. Mayor, can I just ask Jamie a quick question?
Go ahead.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor, through you. So Jamie, I think what I heard Mayor Comrie say was where you have it written all of the municipality's development. Would it make a huge difference if it said most, like Mayor Comrie had indicated? Right? I think, unless I'm wrong, Mr. Mayor, but you said if it said most, you'd be okay with that instead of all.
Yeah.
Could we just switch it to most? Does anybody on council have a problem with that? Because I don't, and Jamie, tell me if I'm missing something here, but I don't see a huge change in that if you switch all to most, right? Because you still got in this separate section in the back that you just talked about, it's got all the criteria there, correct?
You would need an amendment. Like, my recommendation is you leave it as is. Whatever you guys choose, you can do. Like, you can do either way, but like, this is my recommendation. So it's completely up to you guys what you want to do.
But if you say all, how then does somebody what initiates the amendment? Only the municipality can initiate the amendment, right?
No, the applicant would initiate the amendment. They would say, we want to do communal servicing, and they'd submit an official plan amendment to amend section 419 and amend section 8.04 of the plan that deals with servicing. Or they just do a site specific amendment that says, notwithstanding the other policies of the plan on this specific property, you can have a communal system.
And am I right that I think we had Councillor Bray, Councillor Lamb, and myself saying let's leave it? I'm just trying to do on speed here. I think this is the way we have to do these little straw polls. If there's 3 of us that say leave it, we just move on to the next item.
I agree. Let's move on.
Okay. So my next item was item 8.01. I think this was the last item before that, if I'm remembering correct. And what I had was 8.01.2. And where it was it used to say where there are extensions proposed that are required for basically plans of subdivision will be required. Right now it reads plans of subdivision will be required for those multiple lot developments of generally more than 5 lots or where an entirely new development pattern is being established in an area of the municipality. What was removed from here was something that we had long standing in here, and I'm not sure how it got removed, but basically it used to say a plan of subdivision is required when there is an extension of municipal services. So I'm paraphrasing here. That could be if there was municipal water, a municipal road, municipal sewer, municipal gas, those types of things. So I would like to see that put back in. I'm not sure how that got taken out. So I would propose, Jamie, and to other members that it reads, plans of subdivisions will be required for those multiple lot developments of generally more than 5 lots, or when there are extensions of municipal services, and then continue with what you had after that, or where an entirely new development. So I think it doesn't matter if it's 4 lots or 3 lots or whatever, but if we're extending a road to get there, or there's going to be municipal water extended to there, or municipal sewers, which we don't have these things now, but we might in the future, that part's put in. Would you see any issues in having those words being added back in to help protect us if it's under 5, but we're extending a road or something, Jamie? Thank you.
No, I'm fine to put that in there. I just where it said or where an entirely new development pattern is proposed. I think that goes along with the extension of municipal services. Like what are if you're going to extend a municipal road, you're going to have additional hydro, for example, additional utilities, those sorts of things associated with it. But I'm happy to add it in for clarification if it helps.
Perfect. Yeah, so that would help
Like
clarify.
municipal services typically refers to like sewer and water, which there are none, which is I think why I had removed it.
Yeah, and I think it would help clarify for me. So hopefully I can get 2 others that would like that added back in there. And I think you hit it on the head. It's just for added clarity for people reading it in simple terms, Jamie. Thank you.
I'm okay with it. Let's get one more and move on.
I'm okay with putting that wording back in or leaving it in that was in its original form anyways. That's what I thought it always said before, was that there's an extension of municipal services.
Yeah, my problem with it is the 5 lots. I still think that a consent for 5 lots is not appropriate.
Yeah, so it used to say 3 lots on the screen here. 8014 was 3 lots. I increase it to 5 to provide a bit more flexibility. If you want to go back down to 3, we can, but it's entirely
And through you, Jamie, am I correct? The reason I think it was changed from 3 to 5 is we've had numerous applications in some people say serial consents, but on the other side of that, both at the planning board and at the OLT, there's been numerous times where there's been more than 3 lots and no plan of subdivision is needed, and the government says no plan of subdivision is needed. So I like the 5 instead of somebody coming and doing 3 and coming back and doing another one because they didn't want to go to the OLT. If you're coming and doing 4, so be it. We're not saying you can come and do 12 of them. Even though I think our old planner John Jackson said that he's had up to, I think it was 12 or 14 done from plan of consents. And at the time, I think it was the OMB had said that was fine. So I'm fine with the number 5. I like that we've increased it a little bit, but haven't made it a huge number. And I think that'll just help some people. And again, in our plan, we're making it more reports and stuff will be required for when people are doing lot division. So I'm fine with the 5 myself. Is there 2 others that are fine with 5, or the 2 others that want 5 changed back to 3? Then we can move on.
I'm good with 5.
Why do you think that more submissions or more stuff is required for 5 lots. I don't understand.
Oh, through you, Mr. Mayor, it wasn't for 5 lots. If you're doing 2 lots, more reports are needed now. If you're doing 5 lots,
Okay.
more reports are
Okay,
needed.
but what
We've-
more reports are needed for 2 lots?
In our plan, a whole bunch of stuff, like we've basically closed our, when we get through it, I don't want to get in it now. We basically shut down our entire um municipality for planning because we've said, if there's the possibility of fish habitat, the possibility of um large habitat for not just species at risk, for where there's, I think I've said it, fish habitat. We've made such broad statements that people are going to have to do so many reports to do anything. The way it's written now, if you're going to do ditching, you're going to have to spend 3 or 4 grand to get a report to say you can ditch. If you want to go in and cut trees down for your house or do a new consent lot, you're going to have to prove there's not bats in the trees and stuff. We've made it very more restrictive than we had before. And we'll get to that part. That's probably one of the big topics Jamie wanted to touch upon, but it's section 12 and 16 further in that we'll get today. But anyways, so I think I heard one other counselor, I think it was Counselor Lamb, said he's fine with 5. Is there anybody else so we can move on?
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll go along with the 5, and my reasoning is I've seen so many applications happen over the years here in Whitestone where someone's taken 2 lots off or 3 lots off. And then, the feeling in the community was when the person comes back to ask for the extra lots that they would have done if at the same time, if they had more, even though it's not going to be a plan of subdivision, it fires council up and gives us all a reason to argue with each other. And then we get, statements of serial consents, and a lot of the people that do these kind of the planning consents up here have felt and told me personally that they felt targeted when they come back and they ask a second time because members of council told them they shouldn't be doing it, even though they're allowed to under the rules. So I think that would put a lot of that kind of thing to bed if you could do 5. So I understand why we would do it to 5. If there's no extension of municipal services, it's not a plan of subdivision. It's only be a consent. We won't have multiple of what you've said, Mr. Mayor, serial consents, right? Taking up more airtime and more meetings for somebody to try and get something done. So I'm okay with the 5.
But there's nothing in this, am I right in saying there's nothing in this plan that says that you can't go for 5 today and come back for another 5 tomorrow? There isn't, is there? Without going back and doing a plan of subdivision?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, that would be correct because it's not against the law, and that's what Councillor Woods was just saying. This is what comes up. I think unfortunately, I don't want to pick who it is, but it's, people will do 3, they come back with 3, and then it's a serial consent. It's a serial consent. But what we've just said is people have done 12 before like that. We're saying, yes, do 5, but you're allowed to. You're not breaking the law. You're all, as Councillor Wood said, we're just wasting time and effort. If somebody wanted to do 4 or 5 at the beginning, give them the chance to do 4 or 5. They don't need to come back and waste council time, staff time, more money, consultants, all these things. When 5, even the government will allow way more than that, and you're allowed to come back and do more lots. Like so many lots that we're all on have been divided from somewhere in the past. That's how everybody has a property on lakes for the most part, right? We're not doing anything that other municipalities don't, but I think we already have 3 votes, so I think we should just move on. It's not time to debate right now. We have 3, it's a straw poll. Let's carry on. It's already 11 o'clock.
I agree, but through you, Mr. Mayor, a lot of this has come up because we allowed, and I'm all for it, backlot development, right? And more people are dividing fairly large tracts of land on back lots, right? And so anyway, Councillor Nash is right. The decision's made. Let's move on.
And through members of council, if nobody else has anything, my next comment was under new lot creation, 802. If nobody has anything before that, I'll continue on. It was on page 12, and it's part B under 802, new lot creation. And I guess it's a question for you, Jamie, and I think it's just a quick update here.
What page, where is it?
Number 12, page 12,
15 in the green box.
802, and then the letter B.
Mine's page 15.
It's on the screen right now.
Yeah, just,
Page
just,
15, okay, page 15, okay.
And yeah, it's page 12 of the official plan, not 12 of the agenda, Councilor Lamb. So item B, and it says have frontage on and are accessed by a public road, a condominium road that is maintained on a year-round basis. And where I'm coming from here is, why are we saying for new lot creation, it has to be maintained on a year-round road? This has never been said before. So this is my revision, have frontage on and are accessed by a public road, a condominium road, and then removing the words that is maintained on a year-round basis, and then adding after that, or has legal access. This has been talked about before. Legal access may be a right of way. There may be other ways that you can access that lot. This is what we've said in our back lot development, Jamie. But I don't think that the word that is maintained on a year-round road needs to be there. If not, we're saying new lot creation can only happen if it's on a year-round maintained road, and I don't think anybody on council had agreed to that before. So again, I'll just go over it one more time, Jamie. Have frontage on and are accessed by a public road, a condominium road, and then removing the words that is maintained on a year-round basis. And after that, you'll have or has legal access. And then you'll add the word or at the end of it, so it runs into item D below.
What about the words or a private road? Do you want that in or out?
I think it can be a private road too. Yes, it should be there. Sorry, Councillor Lamb. Yes, it should be there. Or a private road or has legal access. Thank you for catching my error there, Miss Councillor Lamb.
Jamie, are you
Yeah.
okay with it?
Yeah, so it says has frontage on and are accessed by a public road, a condominium road, a private road, or has legal access. Take out the or there. And then it goes on to say, or we're located on an island, or where the proposed lot is to be accessed by water. The new lot must have mainland parking with direct access to a public road, private road, or right of way.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Jamie. Hopefully, I have two other members of council that are okay with that update.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it.
Let's go. Next.
Well, my next one is in the same section, but under item H. Does anybody have anything before that? Sorry about that. If nobody has anything before H, I'll what I'm proposing, and I guess it's a question, and I've made a note next to H, and I say C804.1.2 because I think we have something built in, Jamie, in that section already. And
Sorry,
where
what was that reference? 8.04.
1.2. And what it is so this is all about new lot creation. I'm saying can be serviced with an appropriate water supply and means of sewage disposal and is generally a minimum lot size of 1 hectare. And it goes on. And I'm just saying, can we remove that altogether? Because I think under 804.1.2, how it already talks about, it says the municipality and the land division authority must be satisfied. And then it speaks to what you need for site sewage and stuff like that. So I think it can come out because we talk about it just on the next page. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is a repetition there.
Okay.
Noted.
And I have the same comment for item number N, just a little bit further down.
So let's deal with the first one first.
Yeah.
I'm okay with what you're saying, Counselor Nash. It can come out. We need one more.
So you're saying it's covered where?
804.1.2.
Yeah. And it's a very long section. Mr. Mayor talks about a hydrological study may be needed and things like that. We'll get to it. It's on the next
So what
page.
it said, I can read it if you want to know what it says.
No,
Just says
I'm looking at the page.
it's on the screen right now.
So that's the thing with the hydrological study, right? But that's only if it's less than one.
Well, it says any land must be suitable for the installation of individual on-site system. And then it goes on to say a hydrological study shall be required for new lots that are under 1 hectare.
Well, I guess it kind of begs the question is how does the municipality decide if the lot is suitable or not? Because I mean, I know how I would decide, but
Actually,
we
yeah,
don't have a process. We don't have a process for doing that right now, I don't think.
it's not up to the municipality to decide. It's really up to the chief building official to decide. So how that would flow out is that is it the chief building official that issues septic permits or you rely
No,
No.
it's
on North Bay Mattawa?
North Bay Mattawa, Jamie.
Yeah, so then what would happen as part of a consent application is you'd get comments from North Bay Mattawa. Usually they do a site inspection, right? Where they'd identify that, yeah, there's an area for a septic system. Like the only nuance between these two sections, now that I'm reading them, is the first one, F, talks about generally a minimum lot size of 1 hectare. And you've got to be able to service it.
Yeah.
Where the other one says it doesn't talk about the minimum lot size being 1 hectare. It refers to requiring a study if you're less than 1 hectare. There's a bit of a nuance there, I would say.
And one of the reasons why I said to take it out, Jamie, is when we get to, I think it's rural or rural residential, we don't need 1 hectare lots. That's one of the reasons why I've taken it out. Those lot sizes are under 1 hectare. So that's why I'm not sure why we have in here minimum lot size of 1 hectare for item on like item H I'm talking about. That's exactly why one of the reasons I've suggested to pull it out.
Just go back up here. All right. We can take it if you want to take it out, we can. I would be shocked if the ministry doesn't put it back in. But
All right, well, we can wait and see, right?
yeah, it's up to you guys, whatever you want to do.
It says generally, so I don't have a problem with it the way it is, but
So do we have a third to take it out or a third to leave it in?
Speak up, someone.
anybody else want to speak up on this?
This is item H, Mr. Mayor.
I think we're still
Correct.
on item H.
And Jamie, you said that you'd be surprised if the ministry doesn't make us put it back in.
Well, they require minimum lot size of 1 hectare typically. Like that's pretty common. This is a really common provision we see in official plans. But doesn't matter to me, whatever you want to do.
It's actually F we're talking about, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It's F, sorry. Yeah. Well, so again, who wants to take it out? And
I would say take it out and let the ministry tell us we have to put it back in, because when I see 1 hectare and I know that we have lots and we've created lots that are smaller than 1 hectare, as long as they weren't on the water, I don't understand that, because we allow a rural residential lot at an acre, right? And we've allowed them at like 0.6 and 0.7 an acre. You know, their frontage was a little bit shorter, but the depth was a little bit better. And we've allowed them multiple times that I remember.
That's exactly what I'm thinking of too, Councillor Woods. So out it is. And then item number, I'm going to say it's item number N, but I'm looking on the marked up version. It's the one that says, prior to approval of a development application, the applicant shall provide confirmation that arrangements have been made for the treatment of the hauled sewage to be generated from the development at a direct licensed facility. And the reason I'm saying to take it out is if we go to section 8.04.1 under servicing, it reads, all development in the municipality is on individual on-site sewage services, and this is not expected to change when the official plan is in effect. And then after that, we talked about the hydrological studies. But in all my time being on council, I can't remember one instance that there's been a waterfront lot created. I'll use the word residential lot created, commercial lot created, rural residential lot created, where we've gone and said, okay, we're making a lot, we need to have on file something that says there's a septic company that has the capacity to come and pick up the waste at your property. If anything, I think that is something that should be placed in the zoning bylaw when it gets done, that when it gets time to issue a building permit for any said property, that as part of that building permit application, that we might be able to ask our building officer to confirm that any company that may be in existence at that time has a capacity to pump it out. If not, when we're doing this, we're saying for new lot creation, we want to know that, you know, John's Septic Service has the capacity to pump out Mr. Y's septic tank. But Mr. Y isn't developing his lot for building. He's just developing his lot for a vacant lot at the time. And 30 years from now,
Yeah.
this little piece of paper comes out and they say, oh no, Joe's Septic says that they can do it. And then that company doesn't even exist because it's 30 years later. So I think it doesn't make sense to have in here the way it is, and we should cover this off when we come to doing our zoning bylaw. Does that make sense to others? Because it should be the fact of when a building permit's pulled, and if there is a washroom in that structure, that it can be made sure that it can be pumped. That's all. Thank you. So I'm asking that section to come out.
so I had the note on here that this is really a building issue and it's not a zoning issue, Councillor Nash, because we're trying to make a distinction between what you do in the planning stage and what you do when you build, which are two different things. But it does raise an interesting question. Let's suppose somebody comes and says, I want to create a new lot on Kashagaba or Muskokway, for example. So, you know, we have, and you're right. Historically, we don't do this. So I don't know why it's in the official plan, but here's the thing. If they're going to create a new lot, presumably at some point in time they're going to try to build on it, and if the lot is suitable for a septic system, they can put one there, but nobody's going to pump it out because you can't get to it with a pump truck. So, so, and if you put in a septic system, a class 4 septic system, you're responsible for maintaining it, but you can't maintain it. So the question is, what would we do? Would we say, sorry, you bought this nice lot, but all you can do is camp on it because you can't ever get a building permit because you can't, or you can't build something that has a septic system because you won't be able to pump it out.
Yeah. And
Or are we going to say, look, you can't, because this is a planning document, remember, you can't, or we're going to say to them, sorry, you can't sever that, or you can't create that new lot in the first place because you're not going to be able to, and recognizing that there are, a number of already existing properties there, but those properties are essentially off grid and they typically would have outhouses, right?
And Mr. Mayor,
So-
I'm agreeing with exactly what you've just said. Basically, using Kashagama or Bolger as a perfect example, you'd basically be saying, well, maybe there won't be able to have any more lots done on that lake because nobody's going to drive a truck out there to pump it out, right? So, and that's where I'm saying, let that happen at the time of building permit, as you're saying, it's a building issue, not at time of land separation. And again, maybe they're just going to have a privy. Maybe they're just going to be camping on it, or maybe they're just going to be a trailer on it. Maybe they don't need a full septic. So that's why I'm suggesting it come out. It sounds like you're in favor of it being removed, Mr. Mayor. And I do think
Well,
it
I guess
needs addressed.
I would appreciate clarification from our planner that that's really like I think when we're going through this, we have to kind of separate issues that are building permit and septic permit related from lot creation issues, but maybe it is bad policy to create lots that people can't build on. I don't know. What's what's your opinion as a planner, Jamie?
So the reason this gets put in the official plans now, and this is a section the ministry is going to add if you take it out. I'd be shocked if they don't. But the provincial policy statement talks about in the servicing section at the very end of it that if you create lots, they have to be able to be serviced. And then it talks about reserve sewage system capacity. And then in the definitions, it defines what reserve sewage system capacity is. So the idea is if you're creating lots, you have to be able to not only have a septic system on site, but you have to be able to have somewhere where you can put the sludge effectively as well, or the hauled sewage. If you're talking about a remote situation, like these specific lakes, like yes, there's going to be instances where you've got recreational based development with composting toilets or other
Yeah.
types of systems that you're not going to take a truck in there to pump them out. Or maybe those would be the exception. But if you're creating lots in sort of standard situations, there's going to be the ministry is going to require this section to be included in the OP. But if you want to take it out and see what they say, you can do that. It's entirely up to you.
So Jamie, with that being said, I'd use the line that another counselor used. Take it out and see if the ministry puts it back in. But as you said, I think when you get into little municipalities like ours, we are the exceptions. It's not just one little area. Our whole municipality is an exception compared to somebody like Perry Sound or even Seguin. We have no public system, as you know. And many, many properties would come in front of us every year, might have a composting toilet, a privy, a vacant lot for hunting. So many things might be created. And what we're saying here, unless you can come and say there's a way that somebody's going to come and pump that out, you're not allowed to do a lot. And I don't think that's what we're intending. A hunt camp, you want to make a new lot to put a hunt camp on, can't do it, can't get pumped out here. Let's let the ministry say we need to put it in, and then we can speak to the ministry and say, what do we do for a hunt camp, for a privy, for a composting toilet, for a vacant land that somebody's going to camp on, and come up with something special that the ministry will tell us they need. instead of saying, let's put this in that will really stop a lot of people from being able to do things. So I think we just needed a third person that says they're okay with it coming out, and then we can move on.
Take it out. Let's move on.
Mr. Mayor, for the sake of time, I'd say take it out. Jamie, make sure you remind us if you get the haha moment I told you they were going to put it back in.
I like that one,
I won't
Counselor.
Yeah,
say
I don't,
I told you
I,
so.
I don't know. I mean, I think I would, I mean, I think it should be there on the assumption that you're going to have a class 4 system. If you're not, or the wording should say, and like none of this stuff about having septic haulers and so on is relevant unless you have a class 4 system. If you have some other system, then you don't need it. So
And
there may be a wording way around it, but anyway.
And I think, Mr. Mayor, we had 3 to say take it out. I'm just trying to think of time to say let's carry on if there was 3. On the next page, page 14.
Sorry, we're not quite done here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I've got one. On page 16.
Yep.
A condition, looks like the mayor's got the same thing. A condition of the creation of a new shoreline lot shall be that the shore road allowance be purchased. And I think that's too definitive. Again, we don't sell shore road allowances that the public could access, right? And that's pretty much been all the years I've been on council. So so I that needs to be changed.
Uh, Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think Councillor Lamb, this was one that I'd suggested to be put in, but I think where this was coming from is anybody in front of their lot can always buy their shore road allowance. What you're referring to, Councillor Lamb, is we don't sell a road allowance that
No.
somebody can use to get through, but this is just talking about the shore road allowance and not the road allowance. So basically, what this is speaking to would be, as an example, um, resident X has a property on Black Lake, and in front of his property is the shore road allowance. And he doesn't own the shore road allowance at present, but he wants to make it into 2 lots. So what we're saying is, as part of that application, we're going to ask you to close the shore road allowance in front of your place, which we always do. Nothing to do with the road allowance. This is just the shore road allowance. This would end up bringing in more funds into the municipality, because what people will sometimes do is create a new lot, not purchase the shore road allowance, but they're using it as if it's their own, because they always do. So recently in our fees and charges bylaw, if you recall, we doubled the fee to purchase the road allowance. So again, this is the shore road allowance, nothing to do with the road allowance. I think you might have been misinformed on that. So this is a way to
No.
generate money
No.
for the municipality. And also, I think it actually helps, I'll call it our bookkeeping and paperwork, and just makes it cleaner when people are making a new lot, that if on some lakes, as you know, the shore road allowance has already been purchased or it's already been given to property owners. On other lakes, they still might not own it. So if you're going to do a development application, you'd have to buy it at that time, but nothing again to do with the road allowance and stopping people access down a road allowance to get to the lake. This is just the shore road allowance.
Well, I would like that clarified, because it's always been my understanding that
No.
the shore road allowance, if there's a road allowance that goes down right beside your property and the public can access in front of your property, that we don't sell that. So I'd like some clarification from staff or from Jamie or from someone that what I'm saying is right or wrong. So I think Councillor Nash, with all due respect, I think it goes beyond the road allowance. So I don't know, the mayor, I
Yeah.
think you had
I
something.
think if you check, you'll discover that the condition about you can't purchase it, a shore road allowance, if somebody else is using it to access their property, or I think that is in fact still in the plan at a later section. And Jamie, maybe you would know where it is. I'd have to hunt through to find where it is, but um, I guess if you say that, I see, because it on the face of this, if you read it literally, you're basically saying, if you cannot purchase the shore road allowance, if at the end of the day, then, like right now, it's a two-step process. What happens is we say, okay, you create a new lot, and then the applicant may or may not come to purchase the shore road allowance, and we may decide that they can't do it for some reason. But this says you can't create the lot if you don't purchase the shore road allowance. So it seems to me that if we're going to approve that consent, then we would, or whatever it is that's causing the new lot creation, then we would be saying automatically, yes, you are going to be required to purchase. and and I think that's in conflict with our
Yeah.
with something that is later on in this plan. So
I think the mayor and I are suggesting that come out, with all due respect, Councillor Nash. So we need the other two to say yes or no and move on. It's 20 to 12, and we're on page.
I'm okay with taking it out.
Okay, well, let's move on. We're on page 16 of 170.
Sorry, what were we doing there? I just want to be clear.
Taking all out.
do you have any comment on this, what we just talked about, Jamie? I mean, I don't know. Like, is that again something you think that the province wants? Or
No, I don't think there's any provincial interest in it. It's just whether the municipality wants to create new lots that people don't actually own the shore road lots, or whether you.
I mean,
So it's up to you. It
I would
seems to
argue
make.
that this should generally be the case. I'm just saying I think there's a conflict with something that we say later on, and it really goes to the question of, can you provide a defensible reason why someone could not purchase their shore road allowance? But uh, and I'm talking about our municipality. Okay, if you go to lakes where there's a real shore road going around, then obviously people can't own them, right? Because that's how everybody's driving to their cottage. But I don't think we have any such situations in Whitestone, so maybe it's not an issue.
Yeah, and
I'm just highlighting it as a conflict, right? If
yeah,
we could
I
we
think
could
we
either
already
leave
had.
it if this is what we really want, and try and modify the section that implies that we could deny it somehow or other, or yeah, but you
I
can't have it both ways, I guess, is my question.
I think he already had a straw poll, which was to remove it. But in what you were saying, Mr. Mayor, this was something that was added in at one of our last meetings, because at the time the majority of us had said to put it in, and it was in order to, again, garner some income from the municipality. But I think Jamie, the planner, made reference to it. It's basically to say that if somebody's making a new lot on Lake X and they don't own the shore road allowance, um, we're asking them to buy it so that when that property comes for sale, it is right to the water's edge. It is truly a true waterfront lot. So we're trying to close up these unopened road allowance, unopened shore road allowances as part of our planning procedure that will help close that off. So then when many people, I think, that buy a cottage don't understand the fact that they don't own right to the water's edge because of the shore road allowance. And then you have them trying to close it up because anybody can technically sit there, have a barbecue, and nobody can stop them and blah, blah, blah. So
Well,
this is a way of help closing that that off again.
So
But I think it's been asked to be removed. It was put in, but if it's been asked to remove and it's a straw poll that was to remove it, we remove it.
Let's move on.
well, sorry, I could make a suggestion, and that is simply to say a condition, read it the way it is, and just add the words unless the shore road allowance could not be conveyed for other reasons or something, you know. I mean, it's not an undesirable thing to ask for. It's just anyway. I don't know.
My argument was it's too definitive the way it is, right?
Yeah, it is.
And so therefore the easy thing is to take it out. I'm all for people buying the shore road allowance, but I'm also for the public being able to access lakes and things like that. So most people, if they're developing lots, are going to buy the shore road allowance, in my opinion, either when they do it or shortly thereafter. And so all I asked for was a clarification as to our past practice, and I think I'm right, but I may be wrong. But anyway, I think it should come out. And again, I think Councillor Nat. So you're retracting. You wanted it out, George, or Mr. Mayor, and now you want to leave it in?
I just wanted to point out the inconsistency. That's all.
Good. Then let's take it out. Move on. For the love of gee umping, we're going to be here for 4 days. We only have an hour and 15 minutes left. We're on page 16.
All right. Well, fine. Take it out then. So what else have you got? What's the next section?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the next item I had was on page 14 of the updated official plan, and it was new lots, exemption from standard requirements, and it is item number C, or that's what I'm looking at, but I'm looking at a marked up version.
All
It
right.
says,
It's on page 16 on the clean copy, quote unquote.
okay, page 14 on the marked up copy, then I apologize. So,
Page 16. Yeah. Okay.
it says,
803.1C.
yeah, where lots have inadvertently merged and are no longer, I just have a question mark here, Jamie, is a word missing. I just couldn't follow it fully, so I'm thinking, is there something missing there?
Where lots have inadvertently merged and are no longer separately conveyable. Do you want me to say separately conveyable lots? Does that help you?
Oh, yeah, see, separately.
That's
I
correct.
saw that as a cross out. That was yeah, you're good. I was looking at the marked up version. I didn't see those two words, Jamie. Thank you.
So you want the
Everything's all
word
good.
lot after conveyable?
Yeah, you are no longer separately conveyable. I'd missed that. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay.
My apologies. Does anybody have anything else before this section on servicing? And if not,
No.
it is 804.1.2. We'd referred to this earlier on a few pages ago. And it's the last sentence I'm going to read on that. And it says, a hydrological study shall be required for new lots proposed under 1 hectare in lot area to demonstrate that the proposed lot is suitable to accommodate both a well and septic. So I have the word well circled. And I then made a note, make sure this is what all of council want. And the only question I have is the word well. Again, we're saying if your lot's under 1 hectare, you're going to have to do a hydrological study to make sure it's serviceable for a septic system, which I think we've all agreed on earlier. But then we're saying that it has to have serviceable for a well. Well, I'm going to say there's many, many, many both waterfront lots, rural residential lots, and rural lots that might be under the 1 hectare in size in our municipality that might not be on well. and it might be on lake water, stream water, portable water, but certainly not a well. So I think we should remove the word well because I think we're asking for a lot again if we're saying you have to do a hydrological study for any lot under 1 hectare, and you have to make sure you can have a well at that lot. Because I'd if it comes back to it again, you'll have a lot of lots that might be waterfront lots and such, right? So I'm asking for the word well to be removed.
I agree. Let's,
Okay.
all we need is one more to agree and we move on.
Same thing applies though to the septic system. We just talked about this, okay? The assumption is this whole thing assumes you're gonna have a well and you're gonna have a class 4 system. And we know that there are some places where you can't do that. So forget the hydrological study. If you can't do it, then what are we saying? Sorry, you can't create the lot. So I don't know if that's what I don't think that's what we're trying to say, but maybe it's making those assumptions. The whole servicing section makes the assumption that you have a class 4 septic and you have a well. And
So are you okay with removing the word well, Mr. Mayor?
yeah, you can remove the word well, that's fine, but that's not the only thing. That's not the only thing you got to remove, is what I'm saying.
You're saying we should remove septic system or we should take the whole section out? Or the last line, or what are you saying?
Well, I think the assertion is that you see, this is we're kind of mixing up what happens at lot creation and what happens at building, because under the way we do business now these days is we create the lot, and then the purchaser of the lot goes and tries to get a septic permit if they can get one. And if they can't get one, then they use a composting toilet, or they use an outhouse, or they use something. And they might try and get a well drilled, but they might not. They might just say, fine, we're taking the water out of the lake and treating it or something. And so we're just what we're doing is we're saying if the lot is sufficiently small, now you have to do a hydrological study without regard to the fact of whether there could or would ever be a well, or would ever be a septic system, a class 4 septic system.
Mr. Mayor, are you suggesting we just take out the part that says we'll require a hydrological study for properties over 1 hectare? If that's the case, I'm all for removing that full sentence.
So am I.
So then we can move on.
Yep.
So now it's just gonna end. I'm gonna delete everything from a hydrogeological study to the end of it.
Correct.
With that.
What's next?
Does anybody have anything before 8.04.1? It's on the next page.
8.04 point.
We are in 8.04.1. That's just we just modified a
Oh,
subsection.
sorry. I guess it would be 0.1.6 then, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
It's the section that reads, a servicing options report and hydrological report shall be required. Do you see that part there?
Yeah, for 5 or more lots. Yeah.
Shall be required for applications for the creation of 5 or more lots. But I think we need to word 5 or more lots or a plan of subdivision. Again, because we added the word plan of subdivision in the other one. So I think if you're doing 5 or more lots or it's a plan of subdivision, you have to do this. Maybe somebody for some reason will do a plan of subdivision because they're extending a municipal service for 2 lots. So I think just adding the word 5 or more lots or a plan of subdivision and everything remains the same. So I think we just need to add the word plan of subdivision.
Keep in mind though, Councillor Nash, this is the trigger here is 4,500 liters of effluent per day. That's a building code requirement.
Yeah,
That is a different class of system. It's covered under the building code. So it doesn't matter how you're creating the lots.
well,
What
so
matters is how much effluent you're producing.
yeah, but right now we have 5 or more lots. So it's either take out the word 5 or more lots or add in the word plan of subdivision, right? Can be done either way.
That's correct.
That sounds like a ministry wording though. Is it, Jamie?
The 5 or more lots thing, well, yeah, like typically, I think what Counselor Nash is saying that he's saying or a plan of subdivision. So I think what you're saying is even if you're doing 1, 2, 3, 4 lots by plan of subdivision, you want to trigger a hydro G study. Is that what you're
That's
saying?
correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're saying if it's 5 or more lots or a plan of subdivision, and then it says or fewer than 5 lots, and then you'd say or a plan of subdivision, individual site services are proposed and would result in more than 4,500 liters. So we're saying any plan of subdivision, anytime there's 5 or less lots, if you're doing over 4,500 liters of effluent, you're going to do these reports, right?
But
If
this,
that makes sense.
you're assuming that creation means consent. It doesn't. It doesn't say anything about how you create the lots. It
No,
doesn't
it's
say anything about how many you create because it's
yes,
5 or
it's
more or fewer than 5. So I don't know what's wrong with it the way it's worded. It's the 4,500
well,
liters. That's the trigger.
well, it's 5 or fewer lot. Yeah, that's why I'm just add the word plan of subdivision in both those spots and we can carry on. And if you don't think it would change anything, we can add it in and just carry on, Mr. Mayor.
Well,
Anybody?
I don't care. I just say I don't think it's necessary. That's all. It doesn't add anything really. But
Well, let's just move on then. Let's put it
Yeah.
in and move on.
Perfect. Let's go. What's next?
Does anybody have anything before the end of section 9.01?
Just hold on. The end of section 9.0. No, what do you have? What's your next concern?
I'm sorry. Where are we at now?
Roads and transportation,
Yeah, 90
point oh two.
Yeah, and it's just there was a comment that you had in the comment section, Jamie, and you had council wants to permit lot creation on all roads, public and private road, review bylaw on back roads. That was what you had in a note to yourself. So I'm just saying I had it flagged here 906.3. So I didn't really have an update. It was more that I think that note of yours, Jamie, has been addressed in 9.06.3. So I was going to bring it up there. It's just to flag it so that others remember what I'm talking about in a couple pages from now. That was all. But under major roads, 9.03.3, and I think I might be mixing it up here, Jamie, so I'm asking for your insight here. The right-of-way width of major roads shall generally be 30 meters. And the reason I'm asking is on our roads at the very back of appendix, we say 20 meters, but we're not talking about, provincial highways. We're talking about our major roads are 20 meters. So would we put 20 here or 30 here? Does that make sense, my question, Jamie?
So what this would intend is that on major roads, which are, so if you look at 9031, So the way this is written, and this was for discussion, was that on provincial highways, Bunny Trail, Lorimer Lake Road, and Balsam Road, the right-of-way widths would be 30 meters on those. That's not what you want, then I can modify it. But that's
Okay.
how this is written.
And what if they're not that now on some of those roads? Because we only have 20 meters.
It would just mean, like, for example, if someone's creating a lot or if there's an improvement, like the municipality then has the opportunity to require land dedication to the municipality. Like if someone proposes a consent application or to create lots along one of those roads, the municipality can point to this policy and say, we're going to take a road widening of 10 meters because we're trying to get the road up to 30 meters in road allowance width across its entire length. So it gives you the ability to do that.
A way to expropriate it, but only on those 4 or 5 roads that are listed above, which we're all considering our main artery roads. So that makes sense what you've said. So you leave it as 30. If somebody's doing something down the road, we'd have the right to say, hey, we want the first 10 meters of that property for our future road widening needs, possibly, right? Down the road, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that makes sense. Perfect. Thanks for the clarification.
I can see a problem with that with respect to, for example, Balsam Road. If you think about Balsam Road, right where it intersects with Highway 124, you're cutting it to take a 100-foot road allowance. You're cutting into private. You would be cutting into private lands if you're saying, well, we're going to get to expropriate property. You'd be interfering with some people's houses and things that are on it, I think.
But
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure
and
why.
through you, Mr. Mayor, I think it's just saying we may do it. So you have a perfect example of Balsam Road and 124 there, but that's the municipal works yard. So I think this would be an example. If we were going to sell the municipal works yard, maybe would pull 10 meters off of that, and that would become municipal property for future road improvements kind of thing, right? It's not saying the way Jamie explained it here, it's not saying it has to be done. It's just saying we may do it, right? We'd have
Well,
the
it says generally, I guess you're right. So, okay, 9.033 says generally. So
Okay, what's next?
it's not a hill to die on.
The next one I had was 9.06.5. And I have not just waterfront lots as my note. So it reads, all new lots that are created on existing private right-of-ways
Excuse
will
me,
be
Counselor.
required.
Where are we? Like 9.06
Point
5, which is page 22 of 170, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And basically, I guess it's just a comment to clarify. I won't read it to everybody, but it's right now, if you had a waterfront lot, um, and you're creating a new waterfront lot and there's a private road at the back, we'll enter into these private road agreements to say we're not liable, or the municipality is not liable. But that was only on back lots. This is now saying it's on every lot. So be it a back lot, a waterfront lot, anytime a new lot's created, we're going to enter into a 5126 would be the wording, on title to say that we're not responsible for the road and the liabilities away. So I just wanted us to make sure that, everybody on council is aware that that's now not just back lots, it's all lots. Thank you. And make sure everybody's good with it.
So I'm confused through you, Mr. Mayor, Councilor
Yeah.
Knapp. Again, like my 9.06.5 says the municipality is aware of the abundance of ratepayers that access. Is that the section you're talking about?
Section above it.
Oh, so it's 9.06.4. Okay.
I think
Okay.
he's looking at the track change version.
Ah, shit. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So why don't you let me take a look and read it, and then. Okay. Can you explain the change again, Councillor Nash? Sorry to repeat it, but
Yeah, so I'll be
gave me
quick.
the wrong
So
section.
basically, in the past, if somebody was creating a back lot, we'd end up doing something on the consent application, which would say, we're going to need you to enter into an agreement with the municipality to say that the municipality is not responsible for the road. We're not responsible for liability on the road. That was only for back lots. What this section is now doing is to say that doesn't matter if it's a back lot, a rural lot, or a waterfront lot, we're going to make you enter into this agreement now. So we're treating waterfront lots and back lots as the same. And so it's not a bad thing to me. I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware it's for all lots now, not just back lots.
This is only on private roads, right? Or I'm
Yeah.
assuming.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it too, and I especially like the last sentence of it, which says the municipality will ensure a maintenance responsibility program is in place for the road, because historically we have not done that. And eventually what happens is the road keeps getting extended and extended and extended. And yeah, we don't have any obligations. And then the people come back to us and say, well, guess what? Now that so many people are using the road, you should assume it, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
it's funny that you say that, Mr. Mayor, because the only part I crossed off was that part. I just hadn't gotten to that part yet. So
Well,
basically,
I'd like to leave it there.
yeah, I was fine with everything, but I think we've said it before. We don't want to be in the agreement of maintaining private roads. We don't want to know what the paperwork is between people. Basically, what we're saying with that last sentence is, if you're going to do a new lot and it's on the waterfront, or if it's on a back lot and it's off a road that's been there for 50 years and there's no formal agreement in place, we're now saying that we, the municipality, is going to ensure there's a responsible maintenance program in place for that road, which is then going to create, like, A, how do we do that? B, why would we do that? Why would we want to be in the thing of saying, what does somebody's road need to look like? Who's going to approve it? Who's not going to approve it? Basically, everywhere else we've said, as long as you have legal access to your site, maybe some people are only going to snowmobile in the winter. Maybe some people are going to four-wheel drive in. But what we're saying here is the critical word there was, will ensure a maintenance responsibility program is in place for the road. Why do we want to get involved in what people do on their private property? So I have that as coming out. I'd like to see what the other number of counselors want. Do we leave that in? So it's that whole last sentence I have coming out, because I think that's really detrimental. And we should leave it up to the private property owners how they want to maintain the roads. As long as there's legal access, you leave it to the lawyers involved in any transaction that does stuff with that, not for us to start saying what needs to be done and what's a responsible road program. So I'd suggest that final sentence come out. Thank you.
I would agree with, through you, Mr. Mayor, I would agree with Councillor Nash. We got to be very careful when we start getting into this sort of thing on private roads. Maintenance program, the liability associated with if you don't do it, that kind of stuff. And they're private roads. We have standards for taking over private roads. We have a responsibility to take them over as long as they meet the standards that we've set out. But so anyway, long story short, I think that last line is problematic, and I think it should come out.
Other counselors?
Yeah, I'm torn on this one, but I agree that it is problematic in saying that we'll ensure a maintenance responsibility program is in place. I think, in fairness to some of the people that have come to council or have talked to us counselors individually about the issues about new lots being created, but there being no discussion in the new lot created, the lots being created and sold, that the new owners should take part in the road maintenance. And so I think it's a difficulty that we provide we'll provide grants to roads, private roads, and provide them with money, municipal money, and yet we don't say that somewhere along the line, and I don't know where it could be. I don't like this wording, but I'm not sure where it could be, that private roads do need to have, when they're creating lots, do need to be able to um, uh, ensure when they're sold that the new owners take part in helping to maintain that road, if that's what was set up in the very beginning. So I'm not sure how we can do this, but
And
I do feel sorry for people who are stuck with now situations where there's real gaps in help with their road maintenance.
and Councillor Bray, where I agree with what you're saying. I think it's a different section or a zoning bylaw or something, but you might have, like, I'll use an example here. Um, and you have somebody that wants to make a new lot on an existing road, and then they go to the municipality and say, you know what? I want to make a responsible road maintenance program, and it's going to cost $1,250 a year, and we'll be doing road improvements and we'll be doing plowing. So I think this is what we should do. And then the municipality looks at that and says, wow, $1,250 is a lot. Winter maintenance is a lot. Like, winter maintenance also. Okay, that sounds great. We'll implement it. And what do we do to the 50 people that are like, well, we don't want to pay that. We've been doing what we've been doing for 45 years. Oh, well, no, this new program has to be in place, and in order to get the lot, they proposed $1,250 a year times each person, and we've said yes. That's the problem you get into. That's why I
Yeah,
don't think we should be part of it, right?
yeah, and I agree with Councillor Nash. I fully agree with that. I think that is a problem. I just know that we're somewhere along the line, we are also not we're not responding to the issues that some people are having. I don't know how we can do it. And you said maybe in a zoning bylaw. I don't know. Maybe our planner can help us with this. But I agree that this wording is not good.
Mr. Mayor,
Councillor Woods, yes.
could we not, like, I understand the reasoning behind why we would like to see, or why many residents would like to see road maintenance programs where everybody has to take part. But the reality is, with most of the roads that we already have developed, where there's, I'm going to say, hundreds and hundreds of properties on private roads up here, we can't, or we shouldn't, in my opinion, get too deeply tied into private land dealings when it comes to the private roads. It'll put us in a bad spot. That's my personal opinion, and I do have personal problems and have had personal problems with private roads that I have owned properties on. So I understand how much of a headache it can be to try and get people to, pitch in and upgrade the road or maintain the road. Instead of saying will ensure, can we not just make sure that somewhere in here we can say that the municipality encourages that a maintenance program is in place for the private roads? I don't think anybody wouldn't encourage one, right?
Can I just offer something, maybe, Mr. Your Worship? Is that,
Yes, go ahead.
like, I think the question is remove the last sentence or modify the last sentence. So if you're going to modify it, I think what it's getting at, what this is trying to get at, is that where you're creating new lots, you're going to require an agreement to be in place. What the agreement's intended to do is identify that there's limited maintenance of those roads, that the municipality doesn't maintain them, deal with the liability aspect to protect the municipality, ensure the road's maintained at a certain standard, or make sure the agreement has a requirement in it that the road be maintained to a certain standard so that emergency service and public service vehicles can access the properties. So I think if you're going to maintain that last sentence, it should say the municipality shall require a maintenance responsibility require that a maintenance responsibility program is in place for the road as part of the agreement. Like it would be tied into that agreement. I think that's the idea.
And I
Yep.
think, Jamie, from my side, I'm saying that's the part that should come off. Like you just used the word will be maintained, to a certain standard for emergency vehicles. Well, we don't do that now on any road that's there. And going to somebody new to say, now it needs to be an agreement. We have to go back to some roads might have hundreds of people and say, oh, because Mr. X is doing a lot, now you have to keep your road maintained to this agreement. Is going too far. That's why I'm saying it should come out. We promote the road grant program. That's supposed to help people with this. Um, so, I think what Councillor Wood said would be, it can be somewhere else. I don't think it needs to be here. Maybe it's in our zoning bylaw that we say we encourage, um,
Yep.
property owners to get together and, have minimum standards for roads, but it's not for here for a new lot where it'd be tying so many people with older lots into this. And I think it would just create so much animosity between a new property owner and existing property owners if they try and do something, and would be penalizing both parties. So I just say take it out, but I think have a mental note of it, Jamie, to come up in zoning bylaw whenever we do it next year with you guys, if that could be it. And I think we had 3 people that said to remove it, so we can move on.
Yeah, I would just point out that the person that we're sticking this requirement with is not the 100 people that are however many people, 20 people that are already using the road. It's the guy who wants to add a new lot. We're saying to him or her, if you want to create more lots on this road, then there's got to be a program in there. And that gives them an incentive to do something. And in most municipalities where there's development going on, the ones that are bigger and more established, they have development charges and so on. And say, oh yeah, you know what? You're going to increase at the end of the day, one way or the other, you're going to increase the demand on municipal services.
Yeah,
Notwithstanding the fact that the agreement says we don't have to send the fire trucks or anything down there or the ambulance down there, we're still going to do it. And now the road's it's been extendable to the point where it's not passable, and so all kinds of other things. We can stop people from extending untenable arrangements. If they don't have any arrangement, then
yeah. And at the same time, like since I've been on the planning board, we had a case that went to the OLT about another municipality which is no longer part of the planning board, but because they said that somebody had to widen their road and they said, no, we don't, you can't make us do that. It went to the planning or went to the appeal process. And I think the applicant was successful on that. But what would be saying here would be really penalizing somebody to do a lot. I'll use a back lot. They're going to do a back lot a kilometer down an existing cottage road. And then we're going to say, well, we're going to make you have this agreement, but we're going to make sure a fire truck can get down. We're going to make you upgrade that seasonal cottage road to our seasonal road standards in here that's a foot deep, and the culverts are better and this and that. So go spend $200,000 to do that 1 kilometer of road to get to your hunt camp. And do you know what? That hunt camp won't be done. And then it's going to cost us money but meanwhile, nobody else on the road really had a problem with being done. I think what we'll find is the vast majority of roads do have something in place, do apply for a road grants, are maintained well. If a new lot comes on, they just continue paying into their little road group or a bunch of neighbors, and it's not a problem. We're creating a problem where a problem didn't exist before, except for the very select few that don't want this done because they don't already have something in place. So again, I think we've already had three and it was remove it. I'm gonna say it again. Can we carry on if there's three that had said to remove it? Thank you.
Okay, fine. What's next?
Can we just take, through your worship, a 2-minute bio break here? We've been at it for just over 2 hours. I'll be quick if that's okay.
Sure, we can. Yeah, I
Yeah,
should have called that
sounds-
earlier probably, but
Sounds
yeah.
good to me too.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Please keep it to about 2, 3 minutes.
Yep, I'm here.
I'm here.
I don't,
I think
can't
I-
tell.
I'm here.
Councillor Nash is here. Councillor Woods, are you here? He's here.
Yes, I'm here, Mr. Mayor.
And Councillor Lamb, are you back?
I'm here.
Okay, all right. We will carry on then, please. And we are where? 9 point. What's the next one? Are we up to 9.08? If you look at 9.08.5, you will see the provision that Councillor Lamb was raising earlier on about jar road allowances. That is in the, just for your information, I'm not.
Yeah, that's what.
So his comment was correct. I knew it was there somewhere and we've got to.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for pointing that out. So I know Councillor Nash and I were in somewhat disagreement, but that's always been the policy on my 19 years on council.
Yeah.
Is anyway. So I'm glad you pointed that out, and thank you.
What's the next one that somebody wants to talk about?
The next section I had, Mr. Mayor, was 11.01.7, and it was just a typo. Does anything have anything before that?
1101 point what?
7.
Okay.
And it starts with, again, I might be on a different number, but it starts with municipality supports attainable housing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And it's just says the word township at the last sentence and should be municipality, just a little grammar.
Okay, got it.
so
And then
here's sorry, before we go, I had a note that 11.01.6, which says it will be the policy of this official plan that unless otherwise provided, only one dwelling unit is permitted on any separate parcel of land. And then when you go down to 11.02, talks about additional residential units. So I don't know, like
Yeah.
11.01.6 on the surface of it is a conflict with the provincial policy statement, it seems to me, but
It says unless otherwise provided.
well, I guess it does. You don't, it does, is it, but is it necessary? I'm really asking Jamie, I guess, is there a reason to have that there when you've got 11.02 there?
You can do it one of two, like you can leave it how it is, or we could remove it and then provide reference in 11.02 about situations where we wouldn't allow for them, like on the waterfront. I can highlight it.
It doesn't matter. I mean, I guess it just seemed to me like you say no. Well, unless the otherwise provided is, then it goes on at great length about what.
I think it's covered, Mr. Mayor.
All right.
Yeah, to me, Mr. Mayor, I think the same. I think as soon as you have the wording to all other applicable policies of the official plan covers it off, and then we give the reasons where they're allowed. So I'm okay with leaving it, but I understand what you were bringing it up for.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the next thing is there was, and this question was, the planner had raised the question, was trailers. Are we going to say anything about I think really the question is, are we going to say anything about trailers or not?
Is this 1103, eh?
That's 1103.
Well, and I think through you, Mr. Mayor, right now it says under that, the wording says the municipality may enact a trailer bylaw to regulate the license of trailer motorhomes and tents. So I think leaving it the way we have it is fine. We have a section on trailers, but then we just say that the municipality may enact a trailer bylaw. We don't have one in place now, so I think it leaves it open that we can do it, which I think is good wording in my eyes.
Okay, anybody disagree with that? Okay, let's move on then.
I did have one item right above that, Mr. Mayor, where it said
Okay.
additional residential units are subject to the following criteria, 11.02.5. And I might be reading too much into it. It says A, appropriate on-site parking, sewage, water, and drainage is provided for the existing and additional units. I'm not quite sure what we mean by the word drainage, but also, when we say sewage, could we just take the word sewage out of there and just add to the very last, where it goes A, B, C, D, E, F, and add G, septic capacity is available, or we leave it right out. So again, additional residential units are subject to the following criteria. Jamie, is the word sewage meaning that we have to make sure that septic capacity is available?
Yeah.
By just using the word sewage, is it possible? And then again, we bring up the word water, and drainage. What's meant by the word drainage?
Like if there's any
I don't
that
know.
stormwater management, like that if there's any
Okay.
stormwater management necessary to accommodate the additional unit, that it's done.
That's just following our current criteria for layaway pits and everything like that. That's just what you're kind of referring to, Jamie?
Yeah, like you need to make
Okay.
sure that the drainage goes away from the property or away from the dwelling unit.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted clarification. Thanks.
By the way, part E, if you look at it, it says the lot fronts has legal access. The word fronts is, you can take it out.
Lot housing.
I know what you were starting to say, something about it fronts on a road. And say, no, it doesn't front on anything. It just has to have legal access. The lot has to have legal access, right?
Okay, so we'll delete the word fronts.
Well, it's not correct English grammar if you leave it
Lot
in there.
fronts. The lot has legal access. Is that what you want?
Yeah, you can't say fronts. You can't.
No,
You could say fronts on something, or you could say it has legal access. One of the.
I'm fine with that update, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, it's just a typo, really. I think you meant to take it out, but anyway. So, anything else on those pages?
No,
We're up to page 28 so far, I think, but is that
Yep.
The next one I had was on 11.07.2, which is home industries are permitted in all designations. So under that, if you went down to bullet point I, again, I'm reading from a marked up version, but I saw two I's on here, so it might have been corrected in the updated version, but the one says the business will have a negative impact on natural heritage. I think it's supposed to mean the business will not have a negative impact on natural heritage features. Does that make sense, Jamie?
Yep.
Yeah. So just a quick little typo.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Not have, yeah, you're right. Okay.
Good catch.
Anything else on that page, 28 or 29? Page 30, bed and breakfast, garden suites, hunt camps. Anything there?
I can never remember in 19 years ever having someone apply for a garden suite, but I may be wrong.
I don't think we've had any.
No, I don't think so.
I can never remember any, but
And
But we,
did it used to be called Granny Flat, I think before in one of our previous
Well,
Granny suites, yeah.
I
yeah.
can't imagine somebody wanting to build it and then it being only a temporary. So,
yeah, but a garden suite is a physical separate building that's inside your yard, right?
yeah,
But it doesn't have in it, it's well, anyway, I don't think I don't see any reason to remove it. It's a sort of a standard thing that's been there for a long time.
yeah, the word granny
People-
flat is in 1109.1. It says granny flat. But anyway, we don't need to talk about it. Let's move on. What's the next section?
So the next section that I had comments in was under section 12, natural heritage. But before I start on, I just wanted to say a brief little tidbit to it. I'll be 30 seconds. And this is one of the sections when I'm going to say, Jamie was speaking earlier today. I'm going to say this is one of the major sections, I'll call it. And I see I'm going to use the word significant changes or at least some significant discussion I think that we need to take place on this section today. So I'm glad we'll have the opportunity to look at it, be it section 12 at the beginning or the fish habitat 12.01. But I just wanted to bring that up that to me, this is a fairly important item and topic that we'll probably have a bit of discussion on with all of us. Thank you.
All right,
And
so what's the first thing that you
So-
want to take issue with under natural heritage?
Yeah, with that said, Mr. Mayor, the first thing I had was 12.05. Adjacent lands are within. And I'm going to read it. 120 meters of significant habitat of endangered and threatened species, provincial significant wetlands, significant coastal wetlands, significant woodlands and valley lands, areas of natural and scientific interest, life science, fish habitat, 3 hectare wetlands are identified and unclassified wetlands greater than 3 hectares. Wetlands are identified on Schedule B of the official plan. So this is why I was saying without having that Schedule B of the official plan, it makes it really hard to go through this. But with that said, the word significant woodlands and valley lands is my first concern. Well, the word significant woodlands and valley lands, we are in the Canadian Shield and the forest. There's significant woodlands, not so much valley lands, but significant woodlands in every single direction of us as a municipality. So I have here, we talking about provincially significant woodlands, Jamie?
Yes, woodlands that meet the definition of significant in accordance with the PPS.
Okay, so can we somewhere put in here that we're referring to the PPS when we say significant woodlands and valley lands? And I'm sure it's the same for coastal wetlands, significant habitat of endangered and threatened. Can we make sure to put in there that we're referencing it to the provincial policy statement? And then after that, when we get onto the word fish habitat, I know I've said it many times, but I think a lot of members of council have said it. We talked about type 1 fish habitat, but right now we're saying 120 meters of significant, and then it goes habitat of endangered, but then it goes fish habitat. So if you're within 120 meters of fish habitat, and I'd please ask that should come out, the word fish habitat. If not, again, we're talking about anybody that has a waterfront lot, anybody that has a stream that has a minnow going up or down it, will have to do all these things instead of saying type 1 fish habitat, which again, at the time you hadn't heard back from M&R on it. I'd talked to M&R. They said they still look at type 1 fish habitat different than other fish habitat. So to me, this is a really important item to either remove the word adjacent lands are within 120 meters of fish habitat. Just remove the word fish habitat, but if council doesn't want to do that, I think it's imperative that we put type 1 fish habitat. But again, even if we do that, there will be a lot of instances that a lot of properties will be within 120 meters of type 1 fish habitat, and they'll have to go through a whole bunch of additional studies. Right now, it was worded like not in this section, but further in. If you have type 1 fish habitat, you have to do stuff, not if it's 120 meters away from you. Does what I'm saying make sense thus far, Jamie?
Yeah, I can change it to say type 1 fish habitat. We'll see what the
And
min.
do
So
we,
just if I can, we're talking about 12.05, but 12.0.5. It gives a definition of adjacent lands, but I do not see where that term adjacent lands is referred to anywhere else in the rules. So I'm wondering what the purpose of that section is. And
So how this would work is that if you're within 120 meters of any of those features that are identified there, endangered and threatened habitat, PSW, significant coastal wetlands, type 1 fish habitat, if you're within 120 meters and you're proposing a Planning Act application, then you're likely into having to do an EIS. If it was like a very minor thing, like a minor variance that wasn't in the direction of the feature, then you may not have to do that study. But if you're
where does
within,
it say that? Where is the reference made to the term adjacent lands that you're defining? I don't see where it is. Like, I don't see a clause somewhere that says what you just said, Jamie.
I think through you, Mr. Mayor, that's why I asked him, and he was going to put in a section that all of this is referring to the provincial policy statement in regards to the definition of significant woodlands, significant wetlands, significant coastal wetlands. That's all based on the definition within the provincial policy statement, which Jamie was going to reference in there, which is a really big thing to make sure. Correct, Jamie?
partially. So, Your Worship, in the section before 1204, says no development or site alteration is permitted within a provincially significant wetland or significant coastal wetlands. If development is proposed within or adjacent to other significant natural heritage features, a site assessment is required. So that's where the reference
Oh,
is.
okay. So that's if it's within it or adjacent to, so you're defining what adjacent to is. All right. Okay. I'm sorry.
Might need
I
to
was
I
looking
might
for
need
the
to
word
clean
adjacent and I didn't see it, but yeah.
I
All
might
right.
need to clean this section up a little bit. I'm gonna just flag it here.
But yeah, it's
And Jamie, so when you're cleaning it up, you'll make sure that when it talks about significant woodlands and valley lands, that it's referring to under the provincial policy statement, right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've already I've tracked changed it in and it's on the screen where it says
Okay. Yeah.
at the start of 1205 now it would say in accordance with the PPS, adjacent lands are those lands within, and then it goes.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, I can't read that. It's too small for me. And then The
And it
biggest
does
one,
say type 1, 2 in there, does it?
Yeah, I added that in there. Yeah.
Okay,
thank you, Jamie. So then the biggest one here, which I'm sure I'm going to take some slack for here, but I know I'd proposed at one time, make it 100 hectares. And then I think it became unclassified wetlands greater than 3 hectares. And then it says wetlands are identified on Schedule B to the official plan. So I'm going to say it again that to myself, and I'd like to hear from other counselors on this, but to me, 3 hectare wetland, if somebody has a 100 acre parcel, um, you're going to have 3 hectare wetland within it. If somebody was driving from Dunchurch to Maple Island, um, a couple minutes up the road, you pass a farmer's field that has some cows and there's a wetland on the right. There's a perfect example. All of a sudden, it's going to be frozen in these areas. There's so many wetlands that are 3 hectares, which doesn't mean they're of significant value. And again, many other municipalities rely on wetlands that are deemed significant by the Ministry of Natural Resources. I personally think we're walking a dangerous line and making it too restrictive by having anything that we deem as significant is over 3 hectares in size. You're going to have to do so many more reports for so many more wetlands, and just to deem them as it because of the size, I think is an injustice personally. I think that line should come out, and again, we should only rely on provincially significant wetlands. If we as a municipality think there is a wetland in our municipality that is a significant interest, then by all means, we should look at that as a municipality. We should communicate with the Ministry of Natural Resources. We should undertake a study if we want and say, we think you should add that to your list, but we're not going to say it's everything over 3 hectares in size. So I'm pleased asking, I hopefully have a couple other counselors that are willing to take that section out because I think it's just too restrictive. Thank you.
Which section are you trying to take out again?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, at the very end of that section A, after we've added in the word type 1 fish habitat, and then it says, and unclassified wetlands greater than 3 hectares. Wetlands are identified on Schedule B to the official plan. But we don't have any significant provincial wetlands, so I don't think anything should be highlighted on Schedule B because
Mic open.
we don't have them. So we need to take out the word unclassified wetlands greater than 3 hectares. That's what I'm asking for. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, did we have this in the plan, the previous plan, like our existing plan? Is that in there with the 2 hectares? I'm just trying to.
Councillor Bray, I think I can answer that. This has never been in our official plan before. This is something that was inserted, and I think this stems back to when Councillor Woods and Councillor Lamb said something at the beginning about we never talked about doing this. This wasn't provincially mandated. This came from comments from not members of council, but came from comments from somewhere and got input into our plan. And I think at one of the last meetings, there was some discussion on it, and it was increased from 2 to 3 hectares, but it wasn't in our previous official plan. This is a brand new item.
Okay.
So these unclassified wetlands that are greater than 3 hectares are ones that the municipality would define. Is that what you're saying? They don't exist at the moment. Is that correct?
I think what he's saying is that he doesn't want any reference to wetlands or the requirement to protect any wetland unless it's a provincially significant wetland, which is what the PPS, so the provincial policy statement only require, like in your area, would only require protection of provincially significant wetlands. And I think what Councillor Nash is saying is we should just align this with the PPS. We shouldn't go further than the PPS and protect wetlands that aren't provincially significant.
But we
So-
don't have any provincially significant, I think we established this. We don't have any provincially significant wetlands in it in Whitestone, correct?
That's correct.
But should we
And
be,
I don't think it's okay to just ignore the possibility to say, well, we don't have to worry about wetlands then.
Like so the way it's completed in most municipalities, the way how the policy framework works is that if there's a feature that exhibits wetland characteristics, then the policy would say if there's wetland, then you need to do an EIS to confirm what type of a wetland it is and whether there needs to be any mitigation applied before you can develop, like create lots or do a zoning amendment or whatever the case may be. So through that process, it could very well determine that yes, there are in fact significant woodlands here, or significant wetlands, because it takes an evaluation to be completed for a wetland to be determined to be significant, whether it is or isn't. So I think that's what the question is should we require that review to be undertaken or not require that review to be undertaken? Now the PPS again, it only requires protection of PSW. So
And through you, Mr. Mayor, the reason I'm saying this is we are in an area in the Canadian Shield we're in. There's so many wetlands. It doesn't matter which way you turn, there's a wetland. There's the edge of a river, there's the edge of a lake. It's everywhere, which is why I think to the ministry, there aren't any that are of great, great, great provincial significance. Yes, there still is probably hundreds in our municipality, but they're like any other wetland next to it as well. And that's why I'm relying and saying, I think, right now, if you own a 10-acre parcel and you're going to build a 10,000 square foot cottage, if we were to pass this the way it is, that person can go and work on their cottage. They could build a 10,000 square foot cottage. There could be a wetland right next to them. They could do that. But we're going to make the person that wants to make a new lot, a 50-acre lot that happens to have a wetland within it. They're going to have to go through all this extra criteria just to make the lot. But the person that already has the lot, they can do whatever they want. This is where our plans fall apart. If anything, we can put something in a zoning bylaw, but certainly not in our official plan. And then it shouldn't be up to us just to classify anything over 3 hectares and 120 meters. I can only imagine how long that'll take to get updated on our zoning maps if we use 120 meters for anything over 3 hectares that could hold water or could be flooded in the spring or could be a wetland of any sort. So what are other members of council's opinion on having that taken out and knowing that we're still doing a lot more than we did before and we're still requiring 120 meters setback for endangered species habitat, species at risk habitat, all these things. We're just not saying that we're going to make somebody do something for every wetland in our municipality that's over 3 hectares. That's all.
We only have, through you, Mr. Mayor, we only have 10 minutes left. I tend to agree with Councillor Nash. I've had two environmental engineers who work, obviously, in the industry to say, you're gonna jam people up with studies, and you're going to have them go through tens of thousands of dollars, and I don't think I want that in our plan. I'll give you an example, like if we went to, I think it's an example, if we went to develop the Twist property to put a building there, we probably would be tied up for a year or more and tens of thousands of dollars doing studies and mitigation processes and everything else because there's a creek there going between the Twist property and the Duck Rock, right? And maybe I've got it wrong, but and overall, I'm for development, right? And I think all of us should be for development, sustainable and responsible development. But I think to go into wet, I mean, look at the problem we had when someone, blew a deep beaver dam on Lorimer Lake Road at the Lorimer Lake Resort, and oh my God, everyone, it was terrible. And the very next year it had grown over. There's moose in there. There's all kinds of stuff, right? And anyway, so long story short, I'm agreeing. I think we should go back to just provincially uh, uh, regulated or provincially significant wetlands as defined by the province. So, thank you.
Anybody else?
Mr. Mayor,
Yeah.
um,
Councillor
if
Wood.
I could just say a little bit here, I would challenge any member of council to drive the length of the 520 and find a property that doesn't fit into this, where it would have a wetland within 120 meters. There's none.
No.
Mr.
Zero.
Mayor, are we talking
Okay.
about wetlands that are greater than 3
Then 3
hectares?
hectares. Yeah. You're not going to find a property the length of the 520 that's not going to be within 120 meters of a wetland or a marshland or a beaver pond. That there isn't a wetland in that area that is that size. Every single solitary property touches one. And I understand the importance of trying to, protect everything that we have, the natural beauty that we have, and the things that make us Whitestone. Okay. But the thing I always think about, everybody needs to come to terms with the fact that 15% of Whitestone's landmass is privately owned lands. All the rest of it is protected because it's either whatever term you want to use, public lands, crown lands, government property, it's protected. Well, 15% of us is privately owned. Maybe 30, 40% of that is already developed. And we're going to say, using the old way that they used to do it, John Jackson told us everything that was zoned EP or a wetland, they just looked at pictures, and if it looked like a damp spot, they said it was EP. But nobody really knew. But we never want to actually go out and check anything. We just want to make demands of, private property owners or anybody that's trying to do any kind of development to pay for all of these things and all of these studies, because we might think that that wet spot on that old map that we look at is significant.
28 pitch.
I think we're going about this wrong. I think it's going to be far too restrictive for the future of this municipality over the course, 10, 20, 30 years. I think it's a bad move leaving it in there at a size of something that we think it might be significant, but chances are it might not be.
So with that, Mr. Mayor, I think we had 3 councillors agree to take it out. I'm looking at the time here. So if it can come out, I just had one question to item number B right below it, Jamie. It says 50 meters of areas of natural and scientific interest, earth science. Can we not make that 120 meters as well, or just remove it? If we're using 120 meters of significant habitat, why wouldn't we use 120 meters of areas of natural and scientific interest? Would you be okay to have that at 120? Would that make sense, Jamie?
You can put in whatever you want. 50 meters is just what the Natural Heritage Reference Manual requires for areas of national and scientific interest that are earth science. So that's where these numbers come from. But if you want to make it bigger, you can.
Okay, so I'd propose 120 just to make it in matching with the item we have above. Is there any counselors that would be okay with that?
I, once again, I don't know that we have any of these, and so I don't know why we would tamper with it to make it bigger. It's kind of like if you're concerned about the 120 meters with respect to wetlands,
Okay, we'll leave it at
Why-
50. That's
I'd
fine.
leave it at, I wouldn't tamper with it,
Yeah,
frankly. I
well,
don't know what.
I take my comment back. But seeing the time, I do have to run. So what I was hoping, I'll just in closing here because I can't stay later. But I appreciate everything that everybody's done today. I think we've all had good comments. We've done this in a professional way. We've gotten through more than half of it. And I'd love to see us spending the last couple minutes before we leave, trying to be able to come up with a date to come back to this as soon as possible. But use this as our cutoff point for discussion on the actual items, and hopefully council will support that, and we can come up with a time for the next one and get this over with and continue it in the really good debate we've had today and in the method we've done today to get this over with at the very next meeting. So thank you.
All right, so I guess we're going to close the meeting. Is it possible to? I mean, I don't know if it's possible in at the moment to pick a time that we could continue it. Is it?
Well, if we get our calendars out, maybe we can. It seems to me that you know, if we leave it just up to staff, we won't have another meeting on this till after October, right? So,
Well, if you will give me just 1 second, I'm going to go and get my calendar, which isn't in front of me right now. But hang on a minute.
And Mr. Mayor, just when you're going to get that, I'd say probably the busiest person would probably be Jamie on your availability, Jamie. I don't know if you can look yours up now. And once we have a couple of your dates, maybe we can ponder with council here to make it work, because I'm sure you really want to get this over with. And I'm guessing from what we did today, another 3 hours we'll have this done and we'll be able to get it off to the province. So I don't know if you might have your availability open, Jamie, on when you might be able to come back and entertain us again, which I do appreciate you entertaining us in the way we're going through it. So thank you.
Council Nash, there's no way in God's green earth we're going to do this in 3 hours. We're on page 32 of 170, and we spent 3 hours.
But the other, it's just a duplicate with red lines. So we're halfway through. It's about 70 pages of the OP, and then the red lines were the other 70 pages, Councillor Lamb.
It's
So
75 pages.
yeah.
Okay.
I'm available next Thursday from 9 a.m. until 1 p.m.
That's the 23rd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That works for me, just as an FYI.
Works for me.
Sorry, I'm just back now. What day are we talking about?
23rd.
23rd of July.
23rd of July. From what? 10 to 1 again?
9 until 1.
Well, you want to
And
start at
does it
9?
give
Yeah,
us
okay.
does it give us enough time to post everything, Nigel?
Yeah, and I think Councillor Bray, because it's
Sorry,
considered
Nigel, are you there?
Yes, I am here. I was just looking at the dates. I believe it does. I mean, it would be a special meeting, so we
Okay.
would post it and get it out as soon as possible.
Perfect.
So OP.
And
July.
it'll only go till 1 again, right?
yeah.
Oh,
Does
we'll
it work for you,
start at 9.
Nigel?
We're gonna start at 9
Yeah,
and go till 1.
Would
And
that
it's-
date work for staff, Nigel?
well, it's a Zoom meeting, right?
Yeah. Does that time work for yourself, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Okay. How about yourself, Councillor Woods and Councillor Lamb?
I'm okay with that. Starting at 9. I think we have to start at 9.
I couldn't get myself off mute there, but yes, I was trying to say yes, we can make it work for staff.
So 9 to 1.
9 to 1 on the 23rd.
And Councillor Woods, does that work for you?
I never try and stand in the way of getting a meeting so we can get some work done. I can make it work.
Okay, thank you. If with that, if that's settled, then I guess what we need to do now is go back to our agenda papers, which they buried under a whole bunch of other papers. There we are. Sorry about that. We need to reconvene into a regular meeting. Mover and seconder, please.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Councillor Bray moves, Councillor Lamb seconds.
Councillor Nash, yes.
Councillor Woods, yes.
Mayor Comrie, yes. I think we're all in favor, is that right?
Counselor Bray, yes.
Yeah.
Councillor Lamb, yes.
So it is 1:04 p.m. and we are out of committee of the whole and back in a regular meeting. So I won't put any motions for what we did today. We didn't finish, so we do have another meeting scheduled for the 23rd. So we'll just move ahead. Not sure we knew this. We need this, but a confirmatory bylaw. Mover and seconder, please.
I'll move it.
Councillor Lamb moves, seconded by
I'll second, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Woods. All those in favor?
Counselor Bray, yes.
Councillor Lamb, yes.
Councillor Nash, yes.
Councillor Woods, yes.
Mayor Comrie, yes. Thank you. And finally, we'll do adjournment. Mover and seconder, please.
I'll move.
Councillor Bray moves, seconded by
I'll second, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Woods. All those in favor?
Councillor Lamb, yes.
Councillor
Bray.
Nash, yes.
Councillor Woods, yes.
Mayor Comrie, yes. So we stand adjourned at 1:05 p.m. Thank you, everybody, and have a good afternoon. And thank you, Jamie.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye for now.